Hey, Jamari, I decided I would just make a video for you. That would probably be the easiest thing to do. Um, Instead of trying to figure out another Zoom time since I was sick. So I'm going to share the screen with you and turn it around to your reading quiz. So as I stated before, you should never spend this long on a reading quiz for 10 questions. That means you spent 29 minutes per question, which looks like you spent way longer than that on some particular questions. As I said, when you're doing the reading quiz, before you do the reading quiz, you need to look in your chapter text with your online book, read over the notes first for that. And then if you look at Moodle, which I need to open that up. If you look at your Moodle, there are also attached videos to watch before. Before you get to the reading quiz, you can watch the videos on each topic. Let's see here. All right, so if you go down to week 1 here, you'll see I attached all the videos. So here's a video on perimeter and area and non-standard shapes and circumference and square roots. So there should be one on each question. But when you get to a question like this, if you go to the worked example, this worked example is pretty much identical to the question that's being asked. So I feel that you should not have had as much trouble as you had. Like you spent 135 minutes on this question. Okay. If you see, it's asking for the perimeter. So the perimeter is adding up all the sides. If you looked at the worked example here, here's the worked example. It's just like the question that's being asked. You are missing 2 of your sides here. Okay. And so when you're missing 2 of these sides, it shows you how to figure out. So if you see that this side is 7, okay, and this little piece of it is 2, how do you fill out this missing piece? Well, it shows you would do the 7 minus the 2, which is left over, of 5. So this would be 5. If you're trying to find this piece down here, if this whole side is 10 and this part is 4, how much left leaves that side, which is 6. And then to find the perimeter, you would just add up all the sides. So if you're looking at this, if this is 8 here, and this is 4 here, then what is this? Well, you got to have 4. And if this whole side is 9, and this is 2, how much does that leave? That leaves 7. And then how do you find the perimeter? You add all the sides. So 9 plus 4 plus 7 plus 4 plus 2 plus 8. Okay. You add all those up. 9 plus 4 plus 7 plus 4 plus 2 plus 8 gives you 34. Okay. So the correct answer on that was 34 yards. Perimeter is always just in yards and area is always going to be squared. Okay, the next one, find the perimeter of the trapezoid. So I'm not sure why you missed the perimeter on this one. You're adding all the sides. So to find the perimeter, again, I just don't feel like you read your notes or watched your videos like you were supposed to. Again, here's the worked example. If you looked at the worked example, this one had a worked example and a video that went with it. Here's the worked example. It tells you exactly how to find the perimeter. The perimeter, again, you add up all the sides, okay? And then the other one gave you a video, and that tells you how to find the area of the trapezoid. And if you went back and look at your notes, you should have had the area formula, which is 1/2 base. 1/2 of your base times your height's added together. All right, it's taking a while to load, but anyway. So if I was to do this one, I would add the perimeter. Perimeter is equal to 9.2 plus 20.6 plus 23 plus 19. Add all those together. 9.2 plus 20.6 plus 23 plus 19. That's 71.8 yards, or feet here, sorry. And then the area is 1/2 of your, excuse me, 1/2 of your height, and then your bases added together. Said the wrong formula earlier. So 1/2, your height here they give you is 18.4. So you're doing 1/2 of 18.4, and then you add your two bases, and your bases are here and here. So 23 plus 9.2. So I'm going to do 23 plus 9.2 gives me 32.2. And you're doing 1/2 times 18.4, which would be 0.5 times 18.4. And that's going to be 9.2. And then you do 9.2 times 32.2. And you get 296.24. And it says round to the nearest hundredths. Well, this is the tenths. This is the hundredths. Okay. So we would put 296.24. And if you look at the answer key, that's 71.8 and 296.24. Okay. Again, most of these questions are pretty straightforward. So if you already had your notes written down and you look at the videos, you should not have had to spend so long on these questions. All right, find the perimeter. Again, perimeter is all the outside. If we know that this is 50, this is going to be 50. If this is 51, this is going to be 51. And I'm going to take 50 plus 51, which you got this one, plus 50 plus 51. Add all those up, you get 202. And how do you find the area of a parallelogram? If you had read your book and you had written out your notes, and you also take a look at your worked example down here, it would have given you the area formula. All these are pretty straightforward. There's the perimeter. Okay, it tells you how to find the perimeter. And then the video should show you how to do the area. The area of a parallelogram is your height times your base. Base times height, which would be 50 times 48. And 50 times 48. Okay, so again, it's base times height. And always should be, your units should be squared. So square inches was correct. And it would have been 48, which is your height, times 50, because this is actually 50 also, right? And that would give you 2,400. Okay, let's go down to the next question. Pythagorean theorem. Okay, if you had watched the video on that one, it would have shown you the Pythagorean theorem. And this also gives you the formula to find the missing side. You would do the square root of your C side, which is your hypotenuse, minus squared. So square root of your hypotenuse squared minus your other leg squared. That's given. Okay, so it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Again, the formula for Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. This is all in your book. If you are given the sides hypotenuse, which is c, and these are your legs, a and b, you would do the square root of your c squared minus b squared is equal to your a. All right, so we do the square root of 14 squared minus 7 squared. Give you the square root of 147. Square root of 147 is equal to 12.1243. And it says round to the nearest thousandths. So tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 12.124. And this would be in centimeters. Okay. Area of a circle in circumference. So again, you should have looked in your notes or watched the video ahead of time on area and circumference. If you looked at the little read sheet, it gives you the circumference formula is 2 times radius times pi. And then if you looked at the other one, it would give you the area, which is going to be pi r squared. Okay. It tells you to use pi as 3.14. So using those two formulas, we would plug this information in. Okay. So area equals pi r squared. Circumference is 2 pi r. It says use pi in your calculator. Okay. So it gives you the radius is 8. So I would plug in pi times 8 squared to get the area. So that would be 64 pi. Plug that in the calculator. 64 times pi. And that's going to be 201.0619. And it says round to the nearest hundred. So that's tenths hundredths. So that would be 201.06. And then this one would be 2 times pi times 8, which would be 2 times pi times 8 in the calculator. And that's going to give you 50.2654. Round it to the nearest hundredths, which would be here. So we're going to round up because that is a 5 here. Let's check our answer. All right, that's going to give you 201.06. And this one's going to give you 50.27. Again, area is always squared. So you do square centimeters, and circumference is like perimeter, which would just be your unit. How would you find the perimeter of this? Again, you add up all the sides. So again, you're going to do the 4 plus 16.5 plus 20 plus 4. Get 4 plus 16.5 plus 20 plus 4. And that's going to give you 44.5. And then that's going to be in feet, perimeters in feet. Okay. And if you looked at the read, it tells you again exactly how to find the perimeter of a shape. And then these videos are going to show you how to find the area of a trapezoid, which is this is a trapezoid because you have a base here and a base here. And again, we just did this earlier. Area equals base, 1/2 base, 1/2 height, excuse me. 1/2 your height of your bases added together. Okay, so that'll be 1/2. Your height here is 4, and your bases are 4 and 20. Area should be squared. So that's going to be 1/2 of 4 times 24. That'll be 2 times 24, which will be 48. Eight. All right, so these are the ones that are, this one's going to be probably the most complicated one out of the 10 questions. But again, if you had watched this video, it goes over a question just like it, okay? So how do you determine the perimeter and area of the shape shown below? So if you're finding the perimeter of this shape, that means you add up all the outsides. So we know this is 8 and this is 8. And then we need to be able to get this and this. And if you think about it, perimeter is the same thing as circumference. And so we're looking at half of a circle here. So it'll be 1/2. And our circumference formula, remember, is 2 pi r. So we're doing 2 pi r. And we have 2 of these, right? We have one here and we have one here. And our radius is 8. Because that's the length across here. No, our radius is half of this. Sorry. 8 is the diameter. So our radius is going to be 4. Okay. So you're going to do 1/2 of 2 times pi times 4. Okay. So it's 2 times pi times 4. And then divide that by 2. And that's going to give you 12.5663. And we have 2 of those. So I'm going to do that twice. And then I have an 8 here and an 8 here. All right. 12.5663 plus 663 plus 8 plus 8. And the perimeter will be 41.1326, and it says round to the nearest hundred, so it'll be 41.13. Okay, inches. And then the area, we would have to do the area of this and then the area of these two. And technically, if you think about it, if you have a half of a circle and a half of a circle and they have the same radius, it's going to be one whole circle. So we just need to find the area of that one circle and then the area of the square. How do you find the area of a square? The area of a square is just your length times your width, which would be 8 times 8. And then the area of the circle is pi r squared, and our radius is 4. So it'll be pi times 4 squared, which will be 16 pi. Okay. And so that's going to be 50.2654. 64. We add those two together because we're doing the whole area. And so it'd be 64 plus 50.2654. And we would get 114.2654. And we're rounding to the nearest hundreds. So that would be 27 here. Okay. All right, 9 is the volume of this. Volume of a cylinder. If you watch that video, it'll give you the exact formula. So let's take a look at that. Volume of a cylinder. See, it's not working, but we go here and look at a cylinder. Okay. We can look at volume of a cylinder on here. And notice here, here's the formula. It's pi r squared times your height. Okay. Pi times r squared times height. And so you would have pi times 4 squared times 7, and you put that in the calculator. That's 16 times 7 times pi, and you get 351.8583 and tenths hundredths. So this will be 86. And if you take a look, that would be the answer. And then the last question is the volume of a sphere. And that formula is on the same video, but you can take a look here. So if that one works. Yeah. Volume of sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. 4/3 pi r cubed. 4/3 pi r cubed. Our radius here is 6. So 4/3 times pi times 6 cubed. Again, you can just stick this in the calculator. 6 cubed means 6 times 6 times 6. That's 216 times pi times 4/3. And that's going to be equal to 904.77868. And it says round to the nearest tenth. So that's tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So that would be 0.8. And volume is always cubic. Area is always square. Okay. .904.8. So that is pretty much it. If you have any further questions about this, please let me know. Again, you need to be working ahead all throughout the week. So that way, if you have a question about something on the reading quiz, you can go ahead and email me before the day it's due. And I'll be happy to go over with you. Thanks.